Hello Imbibers, welcome to today's session. Once again, we are here to discuss about the another topic from the plant kingdom, which is the characteristics of the gymnosperm. Yes, we already had this detailed discussions regarding the bryophytes, algae, pteridophytes, which are of course the cryptograms, which are seedless plants, and now moving towards the phanerograms, which is the gymnosperm having the seeds in them. Yes, today we're going to discuss about all the characteristics existing in the gymnosperm. But before we start, let me introduce you to myself. I am Anam Khan. I'll be your botany expert for the session 2023 and 2024, and we're going to discuss all the amazing topics related to the plant. Yes, so once again, we're going to discuss about the gymnosperm. So children, what I want to say is do register yourself for the class so you never miss an update. And of course, the Embibe apps gives you an opportunity to basically attempt the pre-class activities, and after the session gets over, you can always attempt the post-class activities. It only helps you to understand the particular concept in a much better way. So please do join us on the Embibe app. Register yourself for the class so you can receive an update before the class starts. And yes, after the session gets over, you can attempt the related questions towards this. Yes, so children, without wasting any time, let's start the session, which is the characteristics of the gymnosperms. Yes, let's see what we have. So children, in the today's topic, all the topics which have been covered in this session and will be covered would be related to this. We have discussed about the plant kingdom. We have discussed about the characteristics of algae, which was very vast. We have discussed about the division Bryophyta, and we have also discussed about the division Pteridophyta. Yes, the gymnosperms is the today's topic. Yes, we're going to discuss about the angiosperms, and of course the most important part, which is the life cycle of all the particular plants, the haploidy, haplodiploid, diplontic, haplontic, all the life cycle would be discussed in that particular session. So yes, children, do not basically miss the sessions related to everything. Tomorrow we're going to have this practice session of the gymnosperm. Whatever we're going to study today, we're going to solve questions basically related to it. Yes, I know the plant kingdom is a little bit difficult to remember. Children, please understand, there is not a lot of concept in the plant kingdom. It is more of learning. The more you revise, the more you will be able of learning everything related to the plant kingdom. It is just majorly the learning part, grasping part, remembrance. Yes, here the whole sharp memory will play a great role, because there are less concept, more of a learning and grasping part. So please keep on revising your whole plant kingdom. Biological classification, of course. Yes, these two chapters, children, are of course a major part of your NEET examination in future if you wanted to give. Yes, and it is little bit difficult. I would not say difficult because it's not conceptual. The concepts are easily understood, but talking about these chapters, these are more when you have to remember everything. There is a lot of effort you put to remember each and everything. So on that part, on the learning part and the memorizing part, I would say it is little bit difficult because the names are also scientific, the life cycles are also very difficult. So please, what you have to do, the only way to remember everything is to keep on revising everything again and again. Yes, moving forward, let's see what we have in today's class. We're going to discuss about all the things related to the gymnosperm. We're going to discuss about the habitat. We're going to discuss about their whole unique morphology, their external features. We're going to discuss about the classification, different classes basically present in the gymnosperm. Yes, mycorrhiza, strobilus, microsporophyll, megasporophyll, microsporangia, megasporangia, pollination in gymnosperm, and of course the life cycle of the gymnosperm. All the topic, all the concepts related to this particular topic of gymnosperm will be covered in today's lecture. So yes, let's have a quick recap of what we have studied in the previous lecture. Yes, we have studied about the pteridophytes. In the previous session, we have had detailed discussion about the pteridophytes. Yes, which was the last member of the cryptogram group, which are the seedless plants. Yes, they are the first land vascular plant, well developed, having a well developed vascular system. They are absolutely seedless. Yes, they are growing in the moist and the damp places, shady places. They can be xerophytic, aquatic, and could be epiphytic. Yes, the plant body is differentiated into root, stem, leaf like structures. And yes, the pteridophytes are divided into 4 classes: Psilopsida, Lycopsida, Synopsida, and Pteropsida. These are the 4 classes of the pteridophytes. The life cycle of the pteridophytes includes alternating diploid sporophyte generation with the haploid gametophyte. And the water is absolutely essential for the fertilization and the zygote formation. And the zygote eventually give rise to the sporophyte. The sporophyte is a dominant phase in the pteridophyte, unlike the bryophytes. Yes, it's a dominant phase in the bryophyte, and gametophyte is not a dominant phase in the pteridophyte. So all these features of the pteridophytes have been already discussed in detail in the previous session. So if you have missed any session, if you have missed this particular lecture of the pteridophytes, you can go and watch them already there in your Embibe live past classes. It is there, present over there. You can watch it again and solve questions related to it. Yes, while you explore the Embibe app. So let's start our session talking about only the gymnosperm. The very first thing comes into the mind is seed plants. Yes, the first phanerograms, the first members of the phanerograms which have seeds in their particular plant, yes, are basically the gymnosperms, and the most advanced member of the phanerograms is of course the angiosperm, which we will discuss later. But today we are going to discuss about these seeded plants, which is the first member of the phanerograms. You know, the basic difference with the cryptograms and the phanerograms is that the cryptograms are the seedless plants, the phanerograms are the seeded plants. So these are the first members of the phanerogram family. Yes, moving forward, talking more about the gymnosperm. This is just a mere introduction. Let's see what are the basic feature of the gymnosperms. So children, gymnosperms are basically having the naked seeds bearing plants. What do you mean by naked seeds? It means the seeds are basically not enclosed inside the ovary. They have naked seeds. Naked seeds bearing plants are basically exposed to the external environment. Ovules are not enclosed in the ovary wall. This is what I told you. You know, the ovules will eventually convert into seeds. Yes, and if they are not covered inside the ovary, they are basically called as naked seeds. So naked seeds bearing plants are called gymnosperms, and the ovules are not inside the ovary wall, and that is why we are calling them as naked seed plants. Yes. So children, the size of the gymnosperm trees is medium sized trees. They are talls, they are trees, and they are shrubs. So these are all the kind of sizes existing in the gymnosperms. They could be tree, they could be tall trees, extremely tall plant. The sequoia plant, which is 162 meters long, belong to the gymnosperm family. Yes, the medium sized plant, the tall plants, the trees, and the shrubs are all sizes of the plant existing in this gymnosperms. Yes, the most, yes, that's what I've told you just now. I don't even remember. The redwood tree, which is a sequoia, is the tallest tree, which is approximately 162 meter in height. 162, 168 meter in height, which is the red sequoia. Red tree, it's very beautiful. It looks very beautiful also. They have basically the tallest trees belonging to the gymnosperm families. Yes, the kind of a root they have, children, the kind of a root they have mycorrhizal root. What are the mycorrhizal roots, children? You know the mycorrhiza we have studied. Yes, the mycorrhizal roots, it means they have a symbiotic association of plant roots and the fungi. The fungi lives inside the plant roots. Yes, this having this kind of a relationship. This is a mycorrhizal roots, which is basically major part of the pinus, which is a very common member of the gymnosperm family. And yes, we have cycas, which have coralloid roots. Very important, this question comes up a lot of time. What are coralloid roots? Where it is present? So the answer of the coralloid roots is always the cycas. Pinus, mycorrhizal roots, cycas, coralloid roots. And what is coralloid roots, children? This is a unique feature of the cycas having a coralloid root, which basically responsible for the nitrogen fixation. Yes, the nitrogen fixation, we will study that in the mineral nutrition chapter of the plant physiology. Yes, whenever we're going to start, we're going to learn in detail how the whole nitrogen is being fixed by the root, how basically the fixation process is taking place. But right now, just a mere introduction towards that the cycas have a coralloid root which is responsible for the nitrogen fixation. Yes, next, this is about the roots. Now talking about the stem is completely unbranched. What is unbranched? All of you have seen palm trees. Yes, this big bottle like trees which does not have branches, and there are big particular sets over there overhead, and basically all of you have seen palm trees. Those stem, this particular branch which is not, this particular whole, I would say the main branch is not having the other branches, so basically unbranched in the cycas. But there's a pinus tree, yes, which is having a pine like structure. Yes, so children, that is basically branched in the pinus, unbranched in cycas, branched in pinus. Yes, the leaves are absolutely simple and they are in compound. Yes, they are absolutely simple in appearance and they are basically clustered. They are forming a compound leaf like structures. So these are the basic characteristics of the gymnosperm. Yes, the cycas have a coralloid root, the pinus have a mycorrhizal root, they have various sizes, etc. They have, that can be tall as sequoia, red sequoia, yes, which could be 160 to 168 meter long. They could be present as the shrubs and trees. Small medium sized shrubs also is a part of our gymnosperm family. So these are the basic characteristics of the gymnosperm. Moving forward, next we have the modification. Since we're talking about the compound leaves, let's see how they are being modified to basically exist in extremely adverse condition. The leaves of the gymnosperms are being modified in such a way naturally that they can withstand the adverse conditions. Yes, what are the modifications? The leaves are well adapted to withstand the extreme conditions, temperature, humidity and wind. Yes, everybody has seen. Can you see? Even the picture is also very clear. They are very pine like. Yes, they have cuticles and they have sunken stomata, and the conifers have needle like leaves which reduces the surface area. Children, lesser the surface area, lesser the part of the leaves are exposed to the external environment, the less would be the loss of water. As you know, in the xerophytes there is a whole thick layer of cuticle which minimizes the transpiration rate, and when the transpiration rate is low, the evaporation rate is low, the leaves are basically, the plant remains green even in the extreme dry conditions, weather conditions, humid condition, basically it's retaining the water. So the leaves of the gymnosperms are extremely, especially in the conifers, they're very needle like, they have this cuticle layer and they also have sunken stomata. So that's why these are the few modifications present in the leaves of the gymnosperm which can withstand the high temperature, humidity and the wind. Yes, moving forward, talking more about the gymnosperm, this is about the modification. Next, let's talk about the classification. Very important. There are 4 classes again: Psychodophyta, Ginkgophyta, Genonitophyta and Coniferophyta. Yes, Cycadophyta is basically the members of the cycad family or the cycas family. As you can see, the features of the cycad family is these are seed bearing plants, the bulk of which have been extinct. Extinct means they are no longer existing in the environment. Yes, the member of the cycad family is basically no longer, major members or very much members have been not in extinct, basically not present, and they are having these seed bearing plants. They were in this abundant amount in the Jurassic and the late Triassic periods. So in this Jurassic and the late Triassic period, Cycadophytas are extremely dominant and they were present in the abundant amount. Yes, the plants now regarded as historical artifacts. Yes, the kind of plants which basically belongs to the Cycadophyta is basically resembles of the historical artifacts. Yes, the large compound leaves, robust trunk, little leaflets linked to the central stem, characteristics of these plants, and the range of this particular, the height of these particular plants are basically ranging from few centimeters to many meters. Example, cycas. So in general, I would say the major members of the cycad family are extant. Yes, but they basically of the whatever they are being existing are of the historic artifacts, because they have this unique feature. They are basically from very few centimeters to many meters existing. Major example of the cycad family is of course the cycas. The major I would say the feature of this family, which is basically very dominating, I would say very evident, is that they have this large compound leaves, robust trunk, and the little leaves basically join to the single central stem directly in these particular plants. Like you can basically see in the picture also, this is how they basically look like. This is how the cycas plants. I know while you walk down some garden or while you walk down some kind of a places where basically these basically can be found. These kind of plants can be seen in normal areas also. Yes, talking about the sengs, which is the Ginkgophyta next, which is the other class of the Gymnosperm. Talking about the Ginkgophyta, we have, just a second, I need to basically clear this. So children, can you see this picture? I know a lot of you have seen this in the movies, this kind of a particular trees. Yes, so kind of a trees basically have this beautiful trees are basically belonging to the Ginkgophyta. Yes, Ginkgophyta has basically only one living species, which is Ginkgophyta. Yes, all the species have been already extinct and all the particular members are extinct. Only this is the living species, which is Ginkgophyta is the only living species. Ginkgo means trees are distinguished by their huge statures and a fan-like leaves. So all of you have seen this fan-like leaves in the movies. So this is nothing but it is a Ginkgophyta, absolutely beautiful leaves. They are basically yellow leaves. They basically can be seen here also. They have this fan-like structure and basically distinguished by the huge stature. They have this fan appearance like structure. Then ginkgo trees also have wide range of applications from medicinal to culinary. Yes, basically they also have a very importance in the nature also, that they could be medicinal, they can be used for the medicinal purposes and they also can be used for culinary purposes. Yes, ginkgo leaves are used to treat memory diseases such as Alzheimer, and the major example is the ginkgo biloba. Yes, this ginkgo leaves are also used in the treatment of the Alzheimer disease related to the memory loss, and basically the example of Ginkgophyta, which is the only living family species basically present in the ginkgo class, is that the ginkgo biloba. And a lot of people have seen this in the movies also. The fan-like leaf appearance is absolutely very much evident, which make it more unique than the other class of the Gymnosperms. Yes, the cycad family, the ginkgo family. As you can see children, the major families of this particular Gymnosperms, the classes of the species belonging to these particular classes are majorly extinct. Yes, talking about the other, next we have the Chnidophyta. What is Chnidophyta? Yes, what is Chnidophyta? These are historic remnants. Yes, there are also currently just 3 members. Majorly all the members from the Chnidophyta is also being exist. The only existence of the Chnidophyta is of the 3 members of this particular genus. The Chnidophytes are often practicants in tropical plants, trees and shrubs. Yes, the Chnidophytes are tropical trees, herbs especially, and these shrubs, they are distinguished by the floral leaves that have silky coating like natum. Can you see this children? This is how your natum basically looks like. The whole genus, only living genus, is basically the existence of this particular members of this particular class are only left with 3 genuses are left belonging to this class. Yes, all of them are extinct and they are majorly found in the tropical plants, trees and shrubs. They are possibly possible in the tropical regions, and the distinguished features of these particular members that they have leaves with the silk coating, and the example of this particular class is the natum. Yes, and the last, which is of course the conifers, the Coniferophyta. Children, yes, I know this is something which is very common. Talking about the conifers, we have these are mostly well-known members of Gymnosperm family because they have evergreen, they do not shed their leaves even in the winters, and they are distinguished primarily by the male and the female cones. Very simple, the conifers are absolutely, or I would say their life, basically they remain evergreen all throughout their life. Yes, they do not shed their leaves even in winters, but the only distinguished features they have male and the female cones. And the example of the conifers is of course the pine trees. Yes, they remain green all over the time. Yeah, evergreen plants. Clear? So these are the classification of the Gymnosperm: Cycadophyta, Ginkgophyta, Gnetophyta and the Coniferophyta. Moving forward, talking more about the Gymnosperms, let's talk about the reproduction. So children, this is what I was talking about. These are the cones. Yes, these are the cones. This is how a cone look like. This is a cone of a cycas. Yes. So talking about the reproduction, they are heterosporous in nature. You know heterospory, homospory. What is heterospory? There is a microspore, there is going to be a megaspore. The spore are produced within the sporangia and they are born on the sporophyllus. Yes, the spores, megaspore, microspore, microspore male, megaspore female. These spores are basically present on the sporophylls. Yes, spores are produced within the microsporangia and the megasporangia, and they are basically present on the born on the sporophylls. The sporophyll is a compact strobili or the cone. This is what your sporophyll, this is what your sporophyll look like. Yes, this is basically what is a strobilus, yes, which appear also called as cone. This sporophylls are basically present on this particular cone. There is a female cone, there is a male cone. There is a microsporophyle, there is a megasporophyll. Microspores develop into highly reduced male gametes which are also known as pollen grains, and male strobili becomes microsporophylls and microsporangia. Yes, so children, microsporophyll will basically produce the male gamete, very reduced development or gametophyte which is called as pollen grain, while the male strobili will give rise to a microsporophyll and microsporangia, and sporangia is responsible for the formation of spores. Yes, very simple. The male strobili or the male cone will give rise to the microsporophyll and microsporangia. This microsporangia will lead to the development of male gametophyte, very much reduced version of the male gametophyte, which is called the pollen grain. Clear? So talking about this, which is the microsporophyll, we also have the megasporophyll. So children, there is a megasporophyll also which leads to the development of the megaspore. How the reproduction takes place in such conditions, how the gymnosperms basically do the reproduction. So talking about the reproduction further, male and the female cones are born on the same or a different tree. Yes, they can be present on the male same tree which is of course present in the pinus, or the different tree which is example of cycas. So that is completely possible. The female strobili or the female cone bear megasporophyll and ovules with the megasporangia. Absolutely very simple. There is a male cone, male strobilus, there is a female cone, female strobilus. The female strobilus will have megasporophyll, will also have megasporangia, producing the ovules in the megasporangia. The cells of nucellus in the ovules develop into a megaspore mother cell which will give rise to the megaspore. Yes, so there is a nucellus, there is a layer of cells which will basically form the megaspore mother cell which undergo the division and will give rise to the megaspore. The megaspore mother cell divide into meiotically. You know meiotically why? There could be a reductional division to give rise to 4 megaspore. The megaspore mother cell, will go under the reductional division or the meiotic division to give rise to the 4 megaspore, out of which 3 will degenerate and only 1 will remain functional. Yes, One of the megaspore forms a female gametophyte. The female gametophyte bears archegonia, or the called female sex organs. Only one which is basically present will give rise to a female gametophyte, and one of the megaspore will develop into a female gametophyte, and the female gametophyte bears archegonia or the female sex organs. Very simple. Very simple. This is what we have understood. I know I was remembering the 12th standard where I was teaching about the megaspore development, megaspore mother cell. So I thought you also know this, but it's a very simple thing. The mother cells are the diploid structure megaspore mother cell. MMC, megaspore mother cell, is always diploid, will undergo the meiosis, and will form 4 haploid cells, out of which 3 will degenerate and 1 will develop into a female gametophyte. Yes, only 1 will develop into a female gametophyte in the megasporophyll or megasporangia. Will have nucellus layers of cells which will form megaspore mother cell, which undergo meiotic division and will give rise to female gametophyte. So this is about the reproductive system. This is about the formation of gametes. This is about the reproduction present in the gymnosperm. They show heterospory. There is a megasporophyll, microsporophyll present on the male cone or the female cone, also known as male strobilus or the female strobilus. They can be present on the same, they can be present on the different. Same in the pinus tree, different on the cycas tree. Moving forward, children, next we have the reproduction in the gymnosperm. Further, the male and the female gametes will basically dependent, or the female and the male gametophyte are dependent on the sporophyte. Yes, here again the sporophyte is dominant. Anemophilous. What is anemophily, children? Very simple. It is the transfer of pollen grains through the air currents. Yes, through the air. Anemophily is the transfer of pollen grains of the particular or the male gametes through the air. The wind pollination is another name of anemophilous plant. Yes, when the pollination, the transfer of pollen grains takes place through wind, it is called anemophily. Again, anemophily leads to the transfer of pollen grains from the pollen tube, carries the male gamete towards the archegonia. The following fertilization, zygote will develop into an embryo, ovules will develop into seeds which are naked. Fertilization occurs only once and endosperm is haploid, formed before the fertilization. The endosperm basically which is formed before the fertilization is completely haploid, and since there is no ovary, there basically ovules are absolutely naked. Yes, when the fertilization is being done, the male gametes will fuses with the egg cell, will convert into a zygote. Zygote will develop into an embryo and it will form ovules, will convert into seeds, and seed which are not there in the side the ovary, they are called as naked seed. This is how basically it looks like. Can you see, this is a male cone, children. This is the anemophily, transfer of pollen grains through the veins, and this is how the female cone looks like. Yes, all the depiction has been already given. So this is how the reproduction in the gymnosperm takes place. Through the wind, the pollen grain is being transferred towards the archegonia. The pollen tube will basically take the male gametes towards the egg. Egg will lead to the fertilization, convert into zygote. Zygote will develop into an embryo. When the embryo will develop, the seeds with the ovules which are present inside that embryo will basically convert into the seeds. Since there is no covering of the ovary, they will form the naked seeds. The endosperm in the gymnosperms is formed before the fertilization and is completely haploid. Yes, I think there is a lot of detailed discussion about the gymnosperm. Yes, moving forward, talking about more. Next we have the life cycle of the gymnosperm. Very simple, children. The life cycle of gymnosperm, as you can see, this is a sporophyte. A sporophyte is always going to be a haploid structure. Yes, the sporophyte will have a, can you see, they will have a male cone and the female cone, because sporophyte have a presence of the gametophyte. Yes, as you can see, children, ovule is basically formed. As you can see, this is a pollen cone, microsporangium. Microspore mother cell will give rise to pollen grains. Yes, this pollen grain will be transferred to the megasporangium, where will the formation of megaspore will be developed, and as this microspore or the pollen grain will go to the archegonia, the fertilization will take place through the pollen tube formation. The embryo formation is basically taking place, and finally the ovules will convert into seed cones. There is basically again after that it will convert into a sporophyte. Yes, so this is how the whole life cycle will take place inside the gymnosperm. There is a sporophyte, there is a gametophyte. The sporophyte will have male cones and the female cones. The male microspore, there will be microsporangia, and the microsporangia will have microspore mother cell which will give rise to pollen grains, and there is a megasporangia will give rise to the megaspore mother cell will give rise to megaspore. The fusion will be there. Yes, then the fusion after the embryo, zygote formation, the seed will again convert into the ovules. Sorry, ovules will convert into the seeds. I am telling you opposite. The seeds will be formation will be takes place after the ovule is basically done, and this is how again the sporophyte will be formed. This is the life cycle of the gymnosperms. Next we have a question for you. So quickly, the characteristics of the gymnosperm, what would be the characteristics of the gymnosperm? Yes, they are seeded, woody, heterosporous, show hydrophily. What are the characteristics of the gymnosperm? Yes, what are the characteristics of the gymnosperm? What are the characteristics of gymnosperms? Very simple, you know, just now we have discussed they are woody, they show heterospory, and they are absolutely seeded. They have naked seeds. Next we have the other question, male and the female strobilus are born on the same tree. Yes, this is we have discussed. When they are on the same, what they are basically present on which plant? When they are different, we are present on the which plant? And they are basically present on the same, they are on the pinus. Different, cycas. Very simple. Next children, this is all about today's session which we have discussed about, which is the gymnosperm, which is the phanerogram. Yes children, the seeded plants but they have naked ovules. Yes, the classes are divided into Cycadophyta, Ginkgophyta, Gnetophyta, and of course the Coniferophyta. They are heterosporous, they have megaspore, microspore which could be present on the same plant, could be on different trees. Yes, the spores are basically found in these sporangia, microsporangia, megasporangia. The fertilization will take place. The ovules will convert into seed. Yes, there is a male strobilus, there is a female strobilus, also refers to as cone. So these are all the characteristics which we have discussed in detail in the today's lecture. Tomorrow we are going to solve questions related to these things only we have discussed in detail. Yes, but before you go children, I have something for you. So do you know, I guess we are going to discuss about the another, do you know there are seed bearing plants that produce enclosed seeds? Yes, there are certain plants which do not have naked seeds. So our next topic would be related to the angiosperms. This is the Embibe app children. This is an amazing app. You can log in through your phone number, your email ID, go and explore this app. You can register yourself for the classes also. Okay, so you will never miss an update and you can always attempt question directly through this app because this function is not available on the YouTube. Yes, and children, there's this amazing app which is the Embibe Lens app. What you have to do, just scan the text. It will highlight all the keyword and see everything in the 3D. Tomorrow at the same time, we're going to discuss about the characteristics we have already discussed. We're going to solve a lot of questions related to the gymnosperm. Yes, so do not miss that section. Children, do go and register yourself for the class. After we're done with the practice session, the next session of the 11th will be related to the angiosperm and then we'll be done with the plant kingdom. Yes, the plant kingdom will be completed in the angiosperm. Only left. Yes, then we can have lots of practice session related to the plant kingdom. Okay, we'll meet again tomorrow at the same timing, solving a lot of questions related to gymnosperm. Until then, please take care, keep imbibing. Bye-bye.
Keep imbibing. We believe in you.